increasingly concentrated among a few tech giants and nations. Does this concentration make containment easier, or is it more dangerous? Should governance of AI be global, national, or corporate-led? I think it's an extension of the earlier question.
Yeah, I think I already spoke about it earlier that there are 3 levels to which we can contain it. Now, to go back on the question of whether AI can be contained, right? I want to take this example of phone adapters, right? So earlier iPhone had this 30-pin charger, and then all the Samsung and other devices had USB-C. European Union came and said, hey, let us stop this nonsense, only USB-C. And at that time, companies were reluctant. But today, I don't see any phones come in without a USB-C adapter. Now, as a person from technology, whether it is right or wrong, it is debatable. But the answer to the question is yes. If the government wants to regulate it, it can. But in the book, Mustafa also talks about organizations like Hezbollah. Now, they have been characterized as a terrorist organization by the United States. Now, they have control over certain regions. They can choose what they want to do, which are the things that they want to work on. Now, for actors like this, how do you contain it? So it is a challenge, right? So there are governments which look for the good of humanity, but there are also actors around the world who want destruction of other people. So we have to be careful about how we approach this. It is a double-edged sword. That would be my answer.
Okay, thank you, John. You have anything to add on to it, Venkat?
I think, like Mustafa also talks about, this has to be a very global affair. You can't be having AI governance only for India. We can't be having AI policy for, say, Tamil Nadu. Business policy is very different. I'm not talking about AI business policy. I'm talking about AI enforcement policy, AI governance, because this doesn't respect boundaries. In a different section, he also talks about nation state. The contract we have with the nation state is, I pay you tax, I give you loyalty, I get your citizenship, you give me safety. When these AI, if it becomes global and it becomes threatening, and the nation states are not able to protect us from these AI systems, the old contract of a citizen and nation is going to go. That's what he talks about. So it has to be universal, it has to be global. There's no second thoughts about it, because this doesn't know any global boundaries, nation states, nothing like that. And also, if you don't do it, then you can doubt countries, rogue nations like North Korea are weaponizing not only AI, social media and so many other things. It's already happening. So we definitely need a global thing. He also gives some examples on how we can have bodies which are able to collaborate. And one of the things he talks about is exchanging notes when something bad happens. He talks about an AI body that Microsoft and 20 other companies like Google, everybody created, where if something bad happens in the training phase and these models are going rogue in the sense they are not giving correct answers, they are able to share that something wrong happened. Just like today we are doing it in biotechnology, we are doing it in so many other fields. When something goes bad, we are able to share it with our competitors also. Similar things he says we should be doing in AI as well.
Thanks for that, Venkat. Now the next one is the human factor. The algorithms begin to make more decisions than humans. How can we ensure that empathy, ethics, and accountability remain at the core of this technological process? Because they are slowly emulating humans, yeah?
Yeah, so first thing is we need to educate the people about what is possible and what should not be done with AI. Because we are reading in the news about children going and talking to AI and then kind of thinking that, they are the counselor and taking advice from AI. I don't know how many of you here remember there was this news item around the 2018-19 time frame about blue whale challenge. Anybody has heard of it? Yeah. So apparently there was this game that a Russian developer had done and children used to play, and it used to give them challenges, right? Can you wake up in the middle of the night? Can you go to this place? Can you do that? And the end of that game is it asks the children to commit suicide. Now, what stops AI or a bad actor creating something like that and then it's spreading? Now, I'll tell you how powerful AI is. Today, there are consumer level tools. Okay, there is a tool called 11 Labs. You can create an account in 11 Labs. You can train your voice or any voice for that matter. Then you give a piece of text. That text will come exactly in the way that the voice was recorded. So if you record a 2-minute voice of yours and then you give a new text, it will be as though you are speaking. There is no difference between the real you and the twin that you created using AI. So empathy, it is very, very important for us to sensitize people about what AI is, what AI is not. This week in social media, I saw a video. I don't know if it is true or not, but what I saw in the video is, in China, now you have a lot of toys which has AI embedded in it, so children are able to talk to it, right? Now what has happened is, for this one child, that toy fell down and it broke. It's not working anymore. Now that child feels as though it has lost a family member. It is crying unconsolably. Now, for us as adults, we understand it is a toy, but from a child's perspective, it does not differentiate. So we have to be very careful in sensitizing people on what it is or not. If not, we are going to see a lot of disasters like this happen.
Sounds very dangerous, actually. What about you, Venkat?
So I think he talks about in the book also, it's very important we realize, he talks about E and the fellow AI makers, share some numbers from the book. We think everybody is AI, every TCS employee today seems to be working on AI, everybody who's in software seems to be AI, but that's not the case. 2 years back, numbers he has shared, there are only about 30,000 AI researchers. The second part is very important, researchers. Not everybody who uses ChatGPT, or including me or John here on the stage, we are not AI researchers. We use AI. We are not building our own AI. None of us. Probably the 30,000 number in 2 years, in my estimate, has become 50,000 probably. Even that I'm just being overly generous. Those are the people who really understand how to build these AI models, the core. That's why they are being paid $150 million and all that by Meta. Recently I heard somebody at $150 million. And probably this year they might pay anybody $1 billion. Anybody who's an AI researcher at that level. Let's be very, very clear. Not everybody who learns AI, ChatGPT is an AI researcher. No, they don't build it. So this is not something a rogue terrorist organization can hire an AI researcher and become. Only if it is built, they can use it. So he talks about in the book that when these people are building these systems, they need to know who's that they are building it for. Have some empathy when they build it. Sometime back when this old model, all this ChatGPT came out in 2017, Google paper called Attention is All You Need. Google built it, and then when they experimented with it internally, which he talks about in the book also, they felt it is very racist. Okay, that's because internet is racist. That's because humans, we are racist. Inherently. It's just the difference, a white man, black man, brown man, and small man, smaller man, and all that. It just keeps going. It doesn't stop. So these models learn from the internet. Internet is fed by humans. So it is going to be inherently racist. It is going to be inherently biased. If anybody tells you there is an AI model which is not biased, which is not racist, they are lying. It's just not possible. So, but of course, you can always say whether a language is racist. No, what you write with a language is racist. So coming back, the people who make these AI models have to be held responsible that they are building it for people. It has to start from there. And when we also need to teach students, users of AI, just like responsible of how do we teach children? He again quotes that in the book. We don't say, children, these are the bad words you shouldn't use. As they start using a bad word, we say, no, that's a bad word you're not supposed to use. We don't teach them bad words and say, don't use it. When we see them using it, we say, don't use it. So similarly, that's how these models also got trained. After the 2017, they came up with a reinforcement learning, where basically they put thousands of human people trainers to say when the output comes, it is good, it is bad, it is racist, it is biased. And that's how we train them. So at every stage, we want these models to represent humanity. A piece of humanity has to be there. We have to take the effort. Without that, they will mimic anything. They will mimic good, they will mimic bad. They don't know what it is to be human. And in that, a side note, when I was talking about this, training these models, good and bad, thousands of people were hired in Kenya. There is another book which talks about this in detail. And those people are going through psychological problems, just like going through social media post and vetting. These AI models were coming up with things that no human brain would have conceived in terms of verbal abuse. And they were able to do it. And they trained these models, oh, don't do it and all that. So it is possible, but there's going to be a cost and effort involved.
Understood. Okay, my final question before we get on to the audience. What lessons from the coming wave are most relevant to India? How can India, with its scale, talent, and diversity, lead in responsible innovation rather than merely following the global trends?
Yeah, I think in the book as well, Mustafa talks specifically about India and as a nation, what is possible. If you look at, India as a nation, we have played a role in a lot of global policies. Even in the G20, we saw that, we have proposed a lot of regulations that can be put in for AI. So as one of the largest democracies, I think we have a very important role to play in guiding how the other nations approach AI. Now that is one aspect of it. Now on the other aspect of it, it is also important for us as a nation to catch up and then compete with the other countries, because compared to the US and China, even though we have a large population of software engineers and technology professionals, we are yet to have our own DeepSeek moment. So that is also important, because while we contribute to the global policies and guide them, it is also important as a nation for us to compete at that level.
Thank you, John.
I think I'll continue what John said. I think as a nation, we should stop feeling bad that we are not in the AI race. It's only China and the US and all that. And the book title itself says it's a coming wave. It's not something that has come. It's not something that is stopping. It's a wave. We can ride on a wave at any point. I think we should be looking at it optimistically. If you talk about NVIDIA chips, many of the NVIDIA chips insides are designed here in Bangalore by our own people. We know how to do this. We just don't have a factory to manufacture. Yes, it's a big thing, but it's not something we can't be doing it. We can be doing it, and these AI systems might also be making it easier for us. Think of the example. This is my personal example. We missed the landline phone revolution. We didn't have phones in many of the houses. We straight away jumped on to mobile. Today, I think every Indian almost has a mobile phone in some form or fashion. So we missed one and we jumped on. We missed black and white TV, but I think we catched on to the TV, color TV, or we skipped that and came straight away to satellite TV. So as technology, it's only going to keep going, as Mustafa says. It's going to become more and more better. And as it becomes better, affordable, cheaper, and the know becomes more available, if as a nation we put in, we can look at the ISRO example as my personal favorite. We were not the first to the moon, we were not the first to the space, but today ISRO is a very formidable player in space technology. And I think like China and US spend all the billions and trillions of dollars, and the failures, let them try and let things. I'm not saying we should be a bystander. We should keep working, but we shouldn't feel sorry that we missed anything. There's nothing we have missed. And we can use these technologies. And like John said, there is a big responsibility as a nation of 1.5 billion population. There's huge responsibility. We are going to be the consumers. That's why Perplexity gave free to all Airtel users. By using, we are going to guide these models. And if you're going to ask about cinema and all the other things, which is, I do ask cinema, I watch movies and all that, all the frivolous things and also useful things, and we need to ask questions about our mythology, our culture. If all we are going to ask is Hollywood, these models are only going to learn about Hollywood characters and they will know nothing about Vishnu, Buddha, Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Kambaramayana, nothing of that sort. So we should, these companies listen very well when we talk to them with our wallets. So with our wallets and usage, we say, unless you support Tamil, unless you support Telugu, unless you support Malayalam, I'm not going to be using it, or we start using it. We all ask for, I've been associated with Indian language computing for a very long time. We'll all keep asking, putting maximum pressure on these US companies to do Indian language. Once they do it, we don't use it. How many of us SMS in Tamil? That's been there for almost 10 years. How many of us set our user interface to Tamil in Amazon or Microsoft? That's the question whenever I meet anybody in Unicode or Microsoft or Amazon says, there is not even 0.1 or 2% usage of Tamil user interface and you're asking more Tamil support. So that's how it will be with the AI systems also. Sorry for the digression.
Okay, thanks, Venkat. I think we had a wonderful insight into what AI can do and how it can be contained, and it's a wave which we need to be careful about. So we have some questions from the audience. We'll get on to the audience questions, which you can read straight away. The first question is to Mr. Venkatrangan. From mentoring SaaS and VR startups, how can young founders design scalable AI systems that uphold ethics, transparency, and user trust in an increasingly data-driven digital economy?
It's a very tough question. In fact, even Mustafa says in his book, he's not going to attempt to answer those. But I think the question is, what is the end goal? The end goal of a startup should be making, any company in that matter has to make profit. Companies are profit-making engines. If there is if you don't do sales, like the saying goes, you're not running a company, you're doing a hobby. So a company has to generate profits. So you should start with that. In my book also, I've talked about trust being a very integral component. When you design a business with AI as a startup and generating profits, if you're not ethical, if you're not transparent, you may have the initial wins. But as your competition grows, I'm sure only the ethical and the transparent companies are going to be winning, especially if you're a SaaS company and companies are going to be using your products. We have a great example, right? Aratai discussion, Zogo Aratai. Nobody's talking about feature. They have decided that Aratai has taken over the world. No, they're now worried about end-to-end encryption. In my opinion, it's important, but it's not so important in the order of things. And 99.99% of people who are writing those social media posts don't know anything about end-to-end encryption. And again, I can say those 99.99% are not talking anything useful that has to be encrypted, end-to-end encryption. We have seen US Army, Defense Secretary bombing Yemen, adding a journalist in Signal. So you can have the greatest of technology, but the humans can be very, very poor in their judgments.
Thank you for that. I hope the question is answered properly. And next question to John. From your consulting work, what key steps should enterprise take to become AI-first organizations that enhance human potential while ensuring transparency and responsible innovation? Sam.
Yeah, so when I go and meet with clients, right, in my consulting work, this is a pattern that I am seeing. The companies are all running at 100 miles an hour. Sir, we have a lot of work. We cannot dedicate resources. We cannot dedicate time. But they also feel that the world is moving under them, that they need to incorporate AI. They don't know where to start, right? So the word AI first, let me explain it so that as individuals we understand what AI first is. So when you want to get a task done, you first think about, is there an AI tool that I can use to solve this? If not, then go to the traditional method, right? So what I recommend to companies, right? So any of you who are business owners who want to incorporate it is very difficult to bring AI to the entire organization in one go. Please identify one person who is an AI champion. Please identify a small team as a pilot. For example, you can say, okay, let us try AI in my HR department. And this person from HR will act as the champion. Then let us look at how we can transform the HR team by bringing in the necessary tools, giving them the necessary training. Then let us look at the before and after. How much money and time did we spend what is the return on investment? If those numbers are good, then let's put a roadmap on how we can bring the other teams in. And the question also talked about transparency. So it is important for the company to publish this, right? So the first step for any company will be to create a governance framework. What is AI? What is our approach to AI? What is our plan? Because in every employee's mind, whether they say it or not, this question is there. Is AI going to take my job? So we need to first educate the employees that AI doesn't need your job. AI is not paying EMIs. AI does not have family members to feed. However, the person using AI will become much more powerful than the person who does not. So if people don't adopt AI, or if companies don't adopt AI, other people, other companies who are using AI will move much ahead. So it is important for training to happen within the organization, for this roadmap to be published, for this governance framework to be published, so that every employee knows the do's and don'ts, what is coming, so they are kept abreast. So that fear that, hey, am I going to lose my job, goes away.
Fantastic. I think the message is clear. The threat is not AI, it's not using AI. Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic. So the next question is to Mr. Venkatrangan. How will AI and ambient technology shape the post-smartphone era and create opportunities for inclusive innovation? By Ram, not me.
Okay. So it seems to be very well formed. Post-smartphone and ambient technology. I think I have to qualify both. Ambient technology, it sounds like a marketing material from Google or Microsoft. So ambient technology is something that is always there. It's around you, omnipresent, omnipotent, whatever you want to call it. That's been the holy grail in technology for many, many years. It's probably there. We are already, ambient technologies are smartphone in some sense, we might be saying, but that's the idea. We will have something like that. Post-smartphone is again a very debatable, I suppose not, maybe only a couple of us might be having Apple stocks, but Apple doesn't like the post-smartphone world. They still think we are in a smartphone world. We are in all forms and fashions. But as you look at technology horizon over a longer period of time, as it already, the question is, has post-smartphone happened? No. But will it happen? It definitely will happen. Some technology will be changing post-smartphone. One of the clues always has been people are thinking about watches for a very long time. Apple Watch has been there. But the one I think closest has come is the Meta Ray-Ban glasses that's come a couple of months back. That's really interesting. That's full. That lens, that glass couldn't be possible without AI. I'll explain why it is. It just looks like this Ray-Ban glass I'm wearing. Only thing it's a little thicker and it has battery and earphones. There's a small projector on top. Not this one, but that's one. This is about 30 grams, the one I'm wearing. The advantage of that glass is, or the speciality, it's only 65 grams. So the difference is only very, very less. And unless I tell you I'm wearing one, you won't know. In this case, I'm not wearing one. It doesn't come to India. Only yesterday I saw a Times of India ad. But what it's going to do is, you can ask it questions, and Meta AI, Facebook AI is going to answer it for you, only in your ear. Most important, it's going to project something visual, which only you will see. It doesn't black out. If I'm seeing something there, you won't know that I'm seeing something. So it's very good. It's useful for cheating in exams and other things. But it's also very useful when you're walking. Now we are seeing a phone and we are not seeing where is the road. And I think in two-wheelers in Chennai, it's a requirement that you have to talk in phone and in only one hand drive. I think that's the licensing test, and many of us are doing it in flying colors. So in these things, the ambient technology, post-smartphone, is going to be extremely useful. In what form and fashion, I think is the question. There's also a cultural angle, because 12 years back when Google Lens came, Google Glasses came, some of these were possible, but AI was not where it is that time. But then society-wise, we didn't like somebody having a camera all the time. We felt it's extremely rude. And one person was wearing Google Glasses as he was bathing, and every time in his life, and then it was the worst marketing campaign for Google. So when we talk about a post-smartphone, it's not only technology, AI is going to certainly make it possible. Will we use it? I think it's a cultural and habit also.
That's interesting. So I can already imagine like people walking with Ray-Ban glasses and not talking to anyone, you know, watching their own stuff and going. Okay, so John, next question is, how can professionals use AI tools as creative collaborators to elevate storytelling, productivity, and engagement without losing authenticity and or the human touch? Questions by Kishore.
Somebody's talking both of us, I guess. The questions are asked very pointedly.
Yeah, so October of 2022, I got access to DALL-E 2. It was a beta version. So OpenAI does ChatGPT, that's the chat, but they also have the software called DALL-E, which you can use to generate images. Now, I've been in the information technology industry for 30 years. I've been, as Venkat pointed out, AI is not new. Even before ChatGPT, we've been working on AI. When I was working in Verizon, we used to work on recommendation systems. When people come to websites, they come and pick a phone. What is the accessory that we should recommend for this particular phone, right? All those were AI models that were running behind the scenes. But when I got access to DALL-E, I did not believe that AI can be creative. Because they said, you give a prompt, it will generate any image that you want. I said, what? I can give any prompt and then any image it will generate? I did not believe myself. So I called my daughter. She was 16 years old at the time, and I told her name is Tina. Tina, there is this software called DALL-E. If you give a prompt, it will generate an image. But we want to test it. What is your idea? She told me, generate some dog images, because she has a pet at home. She immediately said, let's generate some dog images. But we wanted to really test if it is taking some images from the internet or if it is really creating these images fresh. So how do you test this? On the one side, we took 100 unique art styles. Tanjore painting, Madhubani painting, painting like Picasso, like Michelangelo, right? 100 unique art styles on left side. On the right side, we took the names of 100 dog breeds. Dalmatian, German Shepherd, many of those dog breeds I have never heard in my life. 100 art styles, 100 dog breeds. Randomly mix and match. Dalmatian in the style of Michelangelo, holding an iPad in the hand. We generated 100 images, 2022. And I was stunned that every image looked amazing. From 2023 January to February, we both sat, we made a coffee table book. We went and published it on Amazon. You can go and check it in the Amazon.com website. Because in Amazon India, they don't do print on demand. If you go to Amazon.com and type 100 dog breeds by John, you can get the book. I ordered the book. It's a nice coffee table book. Now, coming to the question on how AI can help people who are in the creative industry, a lot of companies now approach me and say, hey, I have been doing ads through ad agencies. It cost me about 25-30 lakhs. I heard that you can do some of these ads using AI. Can you get it done for us? Now the technologies are so evolved that two people sitting and talking, any kind of a emotional short story with real facial expressions, real voice, you can do that using AI. And there is a tool called Runway, using which you can generate images. They did a competition. In 48 hours, you have to use Runway. It's a version called Alep. And create short films about 2 to 3 minutes in length. And I went through all the final submissions. They were amazing. You will not tell that it was done using AI. It is that good. Now, the question on how do you maintain the authenticity, I can tell you this. You go to Runway, you can create videos. You go to 11 Labs, you can create audio. You go to Suno, you can create music. But I cannot do that quality of short film that those creators have done. So just because I have access to Runway or Suno or 11 Labs, I cannot become a creator. You still need creativity. You still need to know how to use the tools and create the short films. So short story, the tools are enhancing your capability that you already have. So if you are a creative person, you can become much more creative. Your cycle becomes faster. It doesn't create a non-creative person to become a super creator just because they have AI tools.
Perfect. I think you need creativity to create something really good. AI can only aid you, right? Okay. So final question. Yeah, last question. Can AI emote like human being? What pitfalls one can face with AI?
Okay. I think just for this question, Suleiman wrote a blog post a month back, I suppose. So he talks about consciousness. You can search for his paper. It's a small 4 or 5 page paper on should we talk about consciousness? Should these AI systems have rights of their own? Do we need to give a constitutional right to them? And all that people keep asking. I think those people, this is my opinion, those people should all be put in some place where they take care of their minds. But they are watching so much of science fiction, in my opinion. Whether it will happen, not happen, I think we are very, very... Certainly none of us in this room will be alive, in my opinion, when anything like that close happens. So, but coming back, Suleiman talks in his paper that shouldn't be the focus. We should be building AI systems for humans, for the betterment of humans. So the ultimate goal of these systems should be not by themselves, but for humans. So the question is, it's not right to even ask whether these systems has consciousness or not. That's not the question at all. The question is, how are they going to help the humans do our day-to-day jobs and so on. So the focus should be that as managers, as leaders, I think that should also be your question. How can, continuing from where John said, you can use it in your organization and all that. Don't worry about whether these systems are sentient, conscious, are they really thinking, so are they life form? None of that, let's worry about it. Let's worry about how can it solve the problem that your organization is already solving. You're a food company, worry about how can you make better food. I'm sure no food company is going to think, I want to make better poisons. No, nobody, I can be very sure. Nobody sets out to do it. He also talks about it in his book. So the idea is not about consciousness or whether they can be more human, but how can they help humans should be the question.
Unless you make cough syrup or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a different question.
Thank you, John and Venkat, for your valuable insight. I hope all of you enjoyed